At our number 10 spot, we have the Mongolian death worm. The Gobi Desert, located between Mongolia and China, is said to have the Mongolian death worm, otherwise known as the intestine worm due to its appearance of being fleshy and red in color. This 2 to 7 feet long creature has the ability to spit out venomous liquid out of its mouth, and if you even get close enough to touch the creature, it's believed that the entire body is covered in this sticky, poisonous substance that will kill you just on touch alone. And if that wasn't enough, it can even electrocute you in the same way you can. While movies of the creature depict it as this large, colossal being, it's believed to be a lot smaller at around 7 feet in its total length. But regardless, the fact that this creature can hide literally anywhere in the desert sands and come out basically whenever it wants, and it has no weaknesses, it makes it one of the most dangerous and scariest ones on this list. At number 9 spot, we have the Diaoxigui. This mythical creature is also known as the Hanged Ghost, and it's said that the people who have taken their life through hanging or have been executed that way come back and become this vengeful spirit. They claim the spirit appears as a decaying corpse with a long red tongue that hangs far out of their mouth, never going back into their mouth. And let me tell you, these guys smell horrendous as well. So you could imagine how terrifying this would be to encounter. Except if you're a Kiss fan and you're used to this sticking tongue stuff. According to legend, these spirits will appear to unsuspecting people during night, usually by a tree or a building. Then they'll try to convince others to join them in the afterlife. So in China, it's best to avoid places where people have taken their life, because this is where these spirits tend to wander. If you decide to do the complete opposite, the creature will follow you around for your entire life, causing bad luck every corner of the way. At number 8 spot, we have the Akonami. The Akonami is straight out of Japanese myth. It is described to be this small goblin looking creature about the size of a child, except they're hideous. They have greasy, slimy hair, and their body is completely oily. If that didn't make you uncomfortable, maybe the fact that they use their long tongues to lick bathroom floors will. But don't worry, they won't appear in clean bathrooms as their dirty long tongues have nothing to lick. Instead, they target bathrooms that have been neglected and are dirty. So people, do yourself and everyone a favor and clean your bathrooms. Please. They lick and devour any of the filth, grease, hair, and waste that they come across, and the Akonami also chooses to stay away from humans, but instead they creep in the darkness and multiply at rates comparable to a disease spreading. They come in both one-eyed and two-eyed variations, which only adds to the fact that these are grotesque creatures. So I stress this again, clean your bathroom so we can all avoid these type of problems, including stuff with these ugly guys. At number 7 spot, we have the Zhang Xi, also known as the Chinese hopping vampire. The Zhang Xi comes from a phrase meaning stiff corpse. They are psychic vampire zombies. Yes, you heard that right. Who feeds off a person's chi rather than their blood. And for those who don't know, chi is considered to be a person's life force, which means that it's the energy that flows throughout your entire body, basically giving you life in a sense. So unlike the vampires we have over here in the West, the Zhang Xi prefers not to consume humans or our blood, and they also aren't able to walk, so they are seen hopping around with their hands out in the front of them to maintain their balance. Many believe these creatures are created following a violent death, an improper burial, use of supernatural powers, or you get bit by another one. Remember, they're vampires and zombies, so don't get it confused. This is a horror hybrid of the century. At number 6 spot, we have the Sigbin. Straight out of my home country is yet another disgusting and hideous creature. This creature is said to have the appearance of a half hornless goat and half kangaroo, but when I look at it, I think of a chupacabra, but worse. It has the ability to use its long kangaroo tail to whip others with the force, able to knock someone out. They lurk mainly in the night and are known to hunt anyone or anything they see. They will use their sharp teeth to suck out the blood out of their victims, or they'll use it to seek out children to take their hearts just to use for decorations. So pretty horrible stuff, I know, I'm sorry kids. When they do walk around, they actually prefer to walk backwards with their head tucked between their legs like this. Locals in the Philippines claim that some people capture them and keep them as guardians for their property or in these very large jars. I have no idea what my people are doing, but yeah, let's not do this. In the hump of our list, we have the Zhenglot. These are small creatures located in Indonesia, but mainly claim their presence specifically in Java. They take on the appearance of a deformed humanoid doll with long growing hair and long nails. The doll by itself causes no harm, but when you begin to feed the doll animal blood or even human blood, it will start to work as black magic. A Zhenglot is believed to belong to the vampire family because of its main nourishment comes from the blood of animals or humans. The owner of the Zhenglot must feed the creature with a drop of their blood each and every single day. If the owner fails to do so, it is believed that their loved ones will face dire consequences. The blood must not be fed directly to the mouth of the Zhengla, but instead be placed beside it. It's believed that the Zhenglas are the spirits of those who passed away after they had practiced black magic in order to obtain everlasting life. Except when they're met with death, the earth would refuse to accept their body, instead turning them into this hideous bloodthirsting creature. At number 4, we have the flying head. This one is definitely the strangest one on this list, but it's still scary, so bear with me. The flying head, or the Shurubotoshi, is one of Japan's most craziest mythical creatures because it's literally just a floating head. It's believed to be an ancient deity that literally is just a flying head that goes around and eats people. They prefer to attack humans by surprise by hiding on the top of trees or in places where you're completely alone. When they catch up to you, they will drop quickly to the ground like a stone, either squishing you to death or trapping you in its mouth to chew you right after. Either way, you will pass away. If you do manage to evade them, they will stop at nothing to get you, and will do so while laughing uncontrollably, which only makes this encounter that much more terrifying. At number 3 spot, we have the Taoti. These creatures from Chinese mythology are definitely one of the most hideous looking creatures from this list of creatures, and we know how beautiful China makes some of these creatures, so this one was just a surprise. They are considered to be one of the 4 evil creatures of the world due to its malevolence and destruction as a creature. If you ever wanted to see these boys in action, depiction of this creature would appear mainly on bronze artifacts, but that first glimpse of them on that movie was all we needed to know that these creatures are not good. At number 2 spot, we have the Tengu. If you ever seen this emoji, then you know what a Tengu somewhat looks like. These creatures live in the mountains and appear to have large feathery wings and wearing a monk robe. Based on the emoji, you already know that their face is red with a long nose and the head of a bird. Originally, the Tengu were seen as evil spirits that caused pure destruction and chaos everywhere they went. This was because Buddhist practices showed that the Tengu were demons and tricksters who opposed Buddha. Tengu were considered demons of death and destruction by Buddhists, but gradually softened into troublesome protectors of forests and mountains, which is the role they continue to play in Japanese folklore. I mean, they look pretty cool and I see it all the time every time I go on my keyboard, and it would be nice if they use them in a video game or something because they're pretty cool looking creatures. At number 1 spot, we're the Nian. To end our point, we got yet another Chinese mythical creature because there are just too many not to mention. The story of the Nian goes that they would feast on human flesh every single New Year's Day. On this day, they would come out of their hiding place in the mountains and raid villages, eat their crops, and when that wasn't enough, they would attack the humans. Except they would begin to notice that the creature would run away by the end of the night when they started to celebrate New Year's. They started to believe it was because they used a lot of the color red, which was the same color as the Nian, which could have acted as intimidation. They also noticed that fire and a lot of noise would scare away the creature, so every single year the festivals got bigger and louder to frighten the beast away for good. The Nian is described as being a flat-faced lion with the body of a bull and the horn of a unicorn, and ever since the Nian has been used during the festivals to commemorate the once terrifying creature. Starting our list right, we have the infamous Lucifer. Lucifer to many is the epitome of evil. And although he is that and more, he was once revered as the wisest, the greatest, and the most beautiful angel in all of God's creation. I mean, look at the guy. He's just downright gorgeous. It doesn't look like our guy, right? Stay away! He's a devil! So how did he go from this to this? Everyone seemed to praise Lucifer for his beauty and his power, but eventually that praise would make Lucifer prideful of himself. This pride led to him questioning God himself. He didn't believe in predestination, which is a concept that involves the destiny of all beings under God's will and command. He wanted everyone to be free-willed. Eventually, Lucifer would argue with God until it led up to an all-out war in the heavens. Lucifer would encounter Michael the Archangel, and they had a battle which is said to have nearly ravaged all of heaven from the sheer force of their power alone. God then took the power of all the angels in his name and molded them into one being, which defeated Lucifer. Lucifer fell for days, bringing 1/3 of the angelic host with him. In Luke 10:18, Jesus says, quote, "I saw Satan falling like lightning from heaven." From here, Lucifer became the ruler of hell and made it his own to strike back at God's most favored creation, which is us. Stealing our number 9 spot, we have Beelzebub. This former angel was Lucifer's right-hand man, so they both kind of had that evil vibe, you feel? Beelzebub is a former seraph, just like Lucifer. Angel lesson 101. Seraphs are the highest choir of angels in heaven. They are as close to God as the archangels, so they are pretty much a big deal in heaven. He was made before the creation of heaven and earth. So he's one of the oldest angels, which brought a lot of wisdom and knowledge in the heavens. When the angel rebellion happened, he was one of the first angels to have fallen and woken up. Due to this, he was the advisor to the devil and was even the one who recommended to attack God's creation, which is us humans. Like, come on, Beelzebub, you couldn't pick anyone else? At our number 8 spot, we have Andrus. Yes, the former 2 angels we mentioned are probably the most darkest and the most evil ones. I mean, who's more evil than Lucifer? Well, Andrus comes pretty close to it. He is often regarded as the Great Marquis of Hell or the Grey Knight. He was a skilled swordsman and assisted in Lucifer's rebellion. After the fall, he was depicted as a humanoid with angel wings and an owl's head. He rode a black wolf and held his bright sharp sword on it. Andrus is one of the most violent devils to summon, as he will gladly execute any person the conjurer desires. So he's kind of like a personal hitman. Right at our number 7 spot, we have Belvegor. This is literally the demon lord that handles the sin of sloth. He is also one of the 7 great kings who rule over hell. He ended up there for a good reason. When he was in heaven, he was a part of the choir of principalities, which was the 3rd choir of the 3rd angelic sphere. He was a very lazy angel and didn't do much for anyone except himself. These would foreshadow his sloth tendencies. When the angel war occurred, he didn't choose any side. But just because he didn't choose God's side, he was banished, turning him to the archdemon of sloth. He comes up on earth to draw victims into a constant state of procrastination and idle dreaming. Probably sounds like a few of us watching. Surprisingly, at our number 6 spot, we have the Gregory. This group of angels are often regarded as the Watchers. They are created for the sole purpose to guide the first humans on earth. These angels were both physically and spiritually gigantic. Despite their large stature, they worked together as one. They were so great at what they did, but as humans evolved, so did they. But sexually, they would eventually make mortal wives bear their children, which created a horrible abomination known as the Nephilim. These were man-eating giants that took over humanity. So what did God do? The Great Flood. Hey Noah, you ready? Right in the hump of our list, we have Bellil. He is often regarded as hell's brightest fire and the king of evil, so he probably doesn't have a single good bone in his body. Before his fall from grace, Bellil is one of heaven's most beautiful angels, and he was created right after Lucifer, so I guess God just made all of the most beautiful angels at one specific time. He was also very powerful. As an angel, Bellil was able to slay numerous angels during the war, and as a demon, he slaughtered large demonic armies that attempted to move against him or any of the other 7 great kings. He was noted to have a strong, attractive voice. After his fall, he would become the demon of lies and guilt, because his voice was that strong. All the way at our number 4, we have Furfur. This demon is known as the Earl of Hell and the ruler of the 29 legions of demons. He appears in the form of a deer with a fiery tail and angel wings. In my opinion, he looks majestic, doesn't he? He can force love between any 2 humans and is also capable of raising storms filled with thunder, lightning, and absurd wind speeds. To summon him, he must be placed within a magician's triangle. But as you're trying to do this, everything he tries to tell you is false. Only when he is in the triangle is when he begins speaking the truth. But I still wouldn't trust this demon. All the way at our number 3 spot, we have Mammon. He is considered the demon of wealth and greed. This is all because when he was an angel in heaven, he was depicted as forever looking down at heaven's golden pavement rather than God himself. His lust for gold and other riches is what caused his downfall. In the rebellion, he didn't care about either side because he only cared about the wealth of God and how he could get it himself. He appeared as a wolf-like creature with golden material scattered all around his body. Okay, Mammon, jeez, you're tripped out. At number 2 spot, we have Abesato. This demon is a one-winged fallen angel who followed Beelzebub from his fall from heaven. After his treason was revealed to all other angels, they left him with only one red wing. But once he got banished, he didn't stop his terror. He was said to visit ancient Egypt and influence the pharaoh to do many things, such as chasing the fleeing Israelite slaves. Except this is where he met his demise. You remember that parting of the Red Sea with Moses? Yes, he was crushed by its collapse and he ended up imprisoned by the pillar of water. Until King Solomon freed him and instead used him to hold up his temple in the air until its full completion. Taking our number 1 spot on our list, we have Leech. I like to call this one the peacock demon cause just look at it. Peacocks are pretty fashionable creatures, which kind of makes sense why Leech was Satan's wardrobe and his personal supervisor. This fallen angel's appearance has a human torso, a mule head with peacock feathers on his back.
He got banished from heaven from Archangel Raphael, and ever since only served Satan. He was a pagan god, so many would sacrifice their own children in a fire for him. So it's pretty much dark stuff.
At number 10 spot, we have Para Sola. Deep in the Amazon River lies a deceiving and a vicious demon. Their name is Para Sola, or 1 foot, due to having 1 amputated leg. But don't be deceived by their disability. This wilderness demon has the ability to shapeshift into a beautiful damsel in distress. She will lure male victims deep into the jungle, and only there will she transform into this 1 foot creature before devouring them into many pieces. The legend has many variations. In one, she is a mother who took her son's life and banished into the forest. In another, she was a manipulative wife who had an affair, and when the husband found out, he proceeded to take her life while chopping off 1 of her legs with an axe. If you're a girl, she really has no reason to go after you, but it's still recommended to watch out for a lonely girl who has a hooked nose, big lips, and tangled hair when you go to Colombia's various mountains, forests, and other remote areas. I wish I could tell you guys to watch a live movie on this creature, but... At a number 9 spot, we have El Cibon. Just north of the Amazon rainforest lies a tropical grassland known as Los Llanos. And if you happen to be taking a hike and hear a distant whistle, your fate has already been doomed. This whistle is from the restless spirit known as El Cibon, or Whistler Man when translated. He is reported to be a 3-meter tall creature wearing farmer clothes and holding a giant brown bag. As mentioned, his whistle is the signal of death. In other instances, he appears on people's doorways, unloading while counting bones straight out of his bag, and if a person dares to stop his counting, he will go after their entire family. Legend goes that he became this malevolent spirit after he murdered his own father. He then fled to the wilderness and passed away from starvation. From there, his spirit now stalks the grasslands and attacks any drunk or lost person who happens to be in his way. So on your next visit, be sure to whistle on your hikes to scare the living hell out of anyone. At number 8 spot, we have Juan Machete. This legend talks about one of the most powerful men in the region at the time, and he went by the name of Juan Francisco Ortiz. To become one of the most powerful men, it was said that he made a pact with the devil where he traded his wife and his children for a lot of money, cattle, and land. The devil then commanded Juan to conduct a ritual where he would grab a toad and a hen. He would then sew up their eyes and then bury them on Good Friday at exactly 12 at night. Once that was finished, the devil appeared just before him and said, quote, "The pact is made until the day I decide." As expected, his life prospered for years, but as with all deals with the devil, it ended off horribly. After years of good luck and fortune, his happiness slowly faded away as he already got everything he wanted in life except for love. From his depressive state, he went into the forest with all of his fortune and buried himself alive. Now Juan Machete is said to lurk deep in the woods of Macarena, who is constantly looking to attack anyone who comes close to his buried treasure. At our number 7 spot, we have El Soberon. Otherwise known as Colombia's boogeyman, El Soberon, which translates to the big hat, and it's no surprise why he's named that. He is also known as the Black Rider for wearing all black while riding a black horse, and behind this horse are 2 fierce black dogs that are bound by these huge chains, waiting to be released to devour anyone who dares to cross their path. Those fortunate to survive an encounter with El Soberon described him as a skeleton covered by this enormous hat. He is known to attack anyone who runs into him, but he prefers to go after men without honor, which includes the drunks, the gambling addicts, or the cheaters. At number 6 spot, we have Los Llanos. Los Llanos, or La Llorona, directly translates to the weeping woman, which perfectly describes the behavior of this malevolent spirit. She appears as a lost woman who is carrying a child through the Colombian streets at night. She's seen wearing a dirty white gown that covers her face and screams for help to lure victims into her grasp. From there, she will offer the baby to the victim, where the infant will place a curse, turning the victim into La Llorona next. This legend varies as this spirit is a part of many different Latino and Hispanic cultures in all sorts of places in North and South America. Some say that she was a former wife who found out that her husband was cheating. In a rage, she took her own life. Others state that she was a jealous woman who took the lives of her children because she lost her own tragically. Regardless of the story, if you hear a weeping girl in the middle of the night, don't try to be a superhero. Call for help and play with your surroundings. Last thing you want to see is this. Pop-up warning. At the hump of our list, we have La Tonda. In Colombia's Pacific Ocean coastlines lies an ugly, monstrous witch who snatches unbaptized babies, naughty children, and unfaithful husbands, and takes them to the mountains to make them their lovers. La Tonda appears at first as a concerned mother who is just asking for help, and as people follow her deeper and deeper into the mountain, she slowly shapeshifts into this ugly, deformed woman who reeks of death. As mentioned, her victims are kept into the mountains where they'll be kept as slave lovers, and the only way to break out of her trance is to get a priest or relatives of the victim them and play noise in the forest like drums. This will cause La Tunda to run away, causing the victim to break free out of the trance. At a number 4 spot, we have La Bola De Fuego. This is said to be the spirit of a vicious, grumpy old lady. So it goes that she was in charge of taking care of her grandchildren, but from the start she failed to teach them any sort of manners or moral principles. So after years, they would grow up to steal, assault, and even murder. So when the lady passed away, she was cursed to travel around the globe surrounded in flames. Another variation of the story talks about a woman who was burned alive along with her 2 children, and this caused her to be this malevolent spirit ball. I don't know. Now the spirit is completely engulfed in flames and it's reported to be about 2 meters in diameter. Witnesses claimed it appeared to them as an extremely bright lantern that was shaking violently. In the Philippines, there are stories of these glowing balls chasing after people until they passed away, so this one hits close to home. At number 3 spot, with El Mohan. He's described as a stout man with a sunburned face, long hair, and piercing eyes. Don't know about you, but he kind of looks like a Neanderthal looking figure with his large hands and feet, but he also has these long nails that he uses as sharp claws. And let me tell you, he is a woman lover, woman persuader. His whole purpose is to pursue women. He does this by tricking women with his deceiving charm and various luxuries, including gold rings, bracelets, and gems. His victims are manipulated and then taken to the mountains where he resides in the series of cave systems within. Aside from snatching women, he is also known for stealing bait hooks and scaring away fish, stopping local fishermen from coming home with a good catch of the day. El Mohan is said to be the main culprit to the disappearance of women who were last spotted near the rivers that are close to caves, and it's said that when someone drowned, it's because El Mohan did it. At number 2 spot, we have La Moana. If you live in Cartagena de Indias, beware of La Moana, otherwise known as the Mohana. In other iterations, she is referred to as the mother of water. She appears as a woman with golden hair who lives underwater in a house made of stone. This is a shape-shifting spirit that acts like sirens in a way, where she would lure victims either from being a damsel in distress or just a concerned woman looking for help. As sirens are, their preferred victims are men, where they would lure them with seduction. When the men get too close, she screams loud as she pulls them underwater, where she'll proceed to drown them. Story goes that in Cartagena de la Colonia, a woman lived there with her husband and her son, and ever since, La Moana has become the mother of water and hates men. I mean, this one is the only one that truly makes sense to me. At our number 1 spot, we have Mula Retenta. So this is a mule. Okay, now let's just make this mule dark and evil, and we have Mula Retenta. This mule appears to people who happen to be transporting goods along Colombia's various paths. Once it's used to transport goods, it's said to cause a series of bad luck, which ranges from strong winds, storms, and sometimes it purposely takes the life of the other animals in the pack. These mules are reported in the Ardean region, which is a very mountainous region known for having very high and dangerous paths along the mountain. Regardless of whether or not you're transporting goods, just seeing this dark mule is a bad omen of death. And if you're trekking through this area, be prepared to stop, as this spirit will not allow you to pass it until it accompanies you. Never thought a mule could be this bad, but I guess these scary urban legends teach me that anything is possible. Well, these are the top 10 scary Colombian mythical creatures. What do you guys think about this list? I'm your host Andrew, and I hope you guys have a scary day.